Good morning. As we move into Module 5, I want to talk about blended and distance learning. And I'm sure that you've done a lot of this, especially during the pandemic. But I want to talk about a little bit of the nuts and bolts and how it works and why. So first of all, we have synchronous versus asynchronous. Synchronous communication happens at the same time, like in real time. That would be a Zoom chat, for example. Asynchronous communication is not dependent on time, like this class. So I'm providing the materials and you're going ahead and doing the work at your own pace and at the time that you prefer to do it. So what's the difference between distance and blended learning? So many terms are used to talk about these: virtual learning, distance learning, online learning, blended learning. So let's take a look at what these are. Distance learning can occur in 4 different models. This is Caldwell's quadrants. It describes the 4 different time and place models that distance learning can be in. So one version would be same time, same place learning. So that would be with a teacher at the front of the room, everybody is in the same place. One is same time, different place, going up to the corner. So this would be something that is broadcast and everybody's paying attention to at the same time. It used to be broadcast on television, for example, and sometimes it's broadcast over telecommunications so that everybody can participate. Then there's the model of different time, same place down in the lower right-hand corner when there's a lab, for example, and everybody comes in and goes through the same activities, but they do it at different times. For example, consider a language lab or a computer lab when students are coming in to work on some software, but they're not all there at the same time. And then finally, in the upper right-hand corner, we have different time, different place. This is the type of online learning that we're used to, and we call it distance learning. So you have your Canvas learning platform, and you can access it from your phone, from your computer, and you can do your activities whenever it's convenient for you. So I just went through these in the boxes, and this is a summary of each type. You can go back and look at this when you have the slides. Here's the different time, different place. I'm not sure I'd be sitting up there with my laptop, but who knows? Then blended learning models. So blended learning is a form of distance learning that requires that some part of it be in a brick and mortar location under teacher supervision. So we have here your traditional classroom, online learning, and then in the middle you have blended learning and the different types of blended learning. So these models include the rotation model, flex model, a la carte model, and enriched virtual model. So I'm going to talk about these on the upcoming slides. The individual rotation model is when most of the students are in the classroom, but may be assigned to different assignments. So you have the computer, you have the kids going up to the computer, and maybe some of them are working on a social studies project, some of them are finishing a math homework, whatever. It can be for remediation, for differentiation, or personalized learning. So for whatever reason, they're not all doing the same thing. The lab rotation model takes place in a computer lab when students spend most of their time in a classroom, but then they come into the computer lab probably once a week or whatever to work on a project that hopefully aligns to what they're doing in the classroom. Station rotation model is when you set up stations. This is often in an elementary school, and the students move from one station to the next, and one of them is the computer station. Flipped classroom model, we will be talking more about, but it's when students do part of the work at home and part of the work in the classroom. The a la carte model is, for example, when some courses are online, some courses are face-to-face. So this is in some schools or some colleges how they offer a degree. And the flex model is when the students are learning online with a teacher presenter as a facilitator. So they could be in a traditional classroom and doing a global collaboration project, or they could be in a traditional classroom walking through an online learning class in order to learn how to study online. And the enriched virtual model is when students are in a face-to-face class and then supplement with online activities. So I have a video here about why I flipped my classroom, and I want to show you that. The others are examples that you can take a look at.
Slow down. No.
I've been teaching math for the last 5 years, and this is why I flipped my classroom. This is what my classroom used to look like. I was teaching to the middle group of the class, the students that could follow along with what we were doing, and we were going through the content, while I had a group of higher level students not challenged, bored with the information, ready to move forward. And I had a struggling group of students that were not receiving enough effective remediation. They didn't have the basic content they needed to be working on the content we were currently covering, or they needed more help in order to be successful. This led to a 90% use of class time being spent on delivery and review of content. 90% of the time I was at the front of the classroom lecturing to a group of students, and I wasn't meeting all of their needs. 10% of class time was actually spent on application, which led to, depending on students, to do the application needed to be successful. They had to go home or outside of class and work on applying the concepts that I was giving out in class. This constant battle of not reaching the needs of all students and feeling the need to differentiate for all of my learners allows teachers to feel overwhelmed and ineffective, because we see the need for differentiation, but there's just not enough time for effective differentiation. This called for a drastic change in how we teach. This is where flipping the classroom comes in. Now the students outside of class preload the content. They get the information they're going to need for class. They can pause, rewind, and rewatch the videos as many times as they need to. They can post questions online to their classmates or to the teacher. And it's a self-paced program where they can be remediated by going back and reviewing former topics, or they can work ahead when they've already mastered a concept and are ready to look forward. They get the content here before class, so that when they come into class, my whole classroom has now shifted, where I'm at the center of the class, working between these differentiated groups, focused on different pieces of application. I can now work between each of these groups that are moving at their own pace. This has created a 90% use of class time spent on application of the content, and 10% of class time is spent on delivery of content, when I can answer questions that have been posted or take any other questions that have come up from applying the content. Now in my classroom, all students are engaged and challenged. I have time to work with each group, give them individualized time and instruction as they need, and I can actually work between each of the groups to provide effective differentiation for all my varied groups of learners. My struggling students, my middle group of learners, and I can now extend and expand on my higher level students' prior knowledge and challenge them in the classroom. To learn more about flipping the classroom, visit the Friday Institute's website.
So I know you've all done a lot of blended learning or hybrid learning or distance learning or whatever, both in taking your degree and in your teaching. So now I wanted to go through these options, but think about these and take the time to look at the videos. Thanks for coming.